All right, welcome back everybody. We've got a bit of a blast from the past here in the way of this Beretta 92, but this is a new offering. This is the 92XI Tactical and the single action only. We've got to take a quick trip back in time though to 1985 when the Beretta 92FS or the M9 was adopted by the US military and went on to do decades of service with all the different branches of the military. Now, I was once myself issued an M9 or a 92FS, which is similar to this. However, I was issued it almost 20 years after it was in service. So you can imagine how that thing felt after literally thousands of Army guys had their way with it. Now fast forward to 2024 and we get cool new options like this, the 92XI SAO that is optics ready. However, is it gonna change my mind and change how I kind of felt about the 92 series with the overwhelming majority of my experience only being with an M9 that was severely worked over from my military days. I do have to say though, this is a vast improvement over that M9 that I was issued years ago. Now before we get started, I'd like to give a huge shout out to my Patreons. It's because of you that these videos are possible and I appreciate your support. If you want to support the channel, that's really one of the best ways you can. That link will be down in the description below. And of course, give a shout to one of the biggest supporters of the channel right now, and that is going to be Blue Alpha Gear. Now, if you've been around the channel for any amount of time, you have probably seen this Molly belt out on the range a lot and in several of my battle belt videos or duty belt videos. And that's my original Molly belt from like 3 years ago, maybe 3.5 years ago. Thousands and thousands of draws, hundreds of range days. That thing is still going strong. And the best thing is Blue Alpha Gear is right here in the US, employing US citizens and making US made gear. They make everything from EDC belts to Molly belts to fanny packs and all kinds of other little bits and pieces like wallets. So if you are in the need for a belt or something like a marsupial pouch, make sure you check out Blue Alpha Gear and give them a little bit of love. Now the 92 series has been around for a very, very long time. Like I said, since like 1975, adopted by the military in 1985 and used all over the world. But it's also probably one of the most cloned pistols out there and one of the most iconic, right? Because it's been in so many movies, everything from the Lethal Weapon series to all of the Die Hard movies. You can see it in there and just tons and tons of other Hollywood productions. And it's very, very famous, but it's also very well proven. Now out on the range, this is very different, right? This is a full-bodied metal pistol. It's not a polymer striker fired setup, so it's a little bit heavier, but it's got that traditional Italian Stallion styling on it with that open slide look. The design of this pistol was one of the first Wonder 9s is what they call it. It was a double stack 9mm, given a pretty low bore axis, and the barrel does not tilt. So the round pretty much gets thrown straight into the barrel. And then it's got like a 180-degree ejection port across the top of it. So you're less likely to have issues. We do still have a safety on this version, but it is moved down into the side of the frame, which is a massive improvement in my opinion from the like decock safety versions that were in the military. And on this version, there is no decocker on it. It is just a manual safety, and I'm totally fine with that because it's single action only, so the safety is gonna work just fine. And I'm not a huge fan of double action triggers. Typically to me, double action triggers are just not that great. That first pull of the trigger is usually really long and just not great. Now after that, when you get to the single action, it's pretty good. Some of the other modernized features will be the optics cut, which is always nice to have. You will get a far better flat face trigger with that single action only design. You will get those tactical suppressor height sights that are a 3-dot design and overall very solid. And this newer model also has pick rail on there, so you can have all the attachments your little heart desires out there on the front. You will get the threaded barrel at this one, so suppressors and compensators can be easily mounted at your leisure. Overall, this thing is clean, it is stylish, and has a very good look with that matte silver Cerakote and black design features. Hands down, the thing just looks good. If I had to give it a rating on a number, it'd be a solid 10.
Give it a 10. A 10.
When it comes to the controls out there, you have an ambidextrous safety, and you have a traditional left-sided slide stop slide release, and the left-sided takedown lever, which the 92 series is known for. Again, it is a little bit heavier than a modern striker-fired rig because it's all metal, the lower being aluminum on this one, and the slide and barrel being steel, so it comes in at 33 ounces. It will have decent grip texture from the factory, however, there are a ton of aftermarket grips from this thing. You're also going to get checkering on the front and the back strap, which really does help control the recoil impulse, and it will come with two 18-round metal magazines. Now, if you guys like seeing things like the Beretta 92XI SAO, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. That's gonna do a few things. One, it's gonna make sure you don't miss any of the videos when they come out. Two, it's gonna tell YouTube to send this video to other people, some of which maybe are looking for content on things like this, and others of which maybe have never seen content on stuff like this before and maybe help change their mind. Also, it's just gonna be a nice stick in the eye to those who wanna suppress the 2A message. And in case you guys are interested in anything you see here today and want to do your own research or maybe figure out some ways to not pay full price for things, there will be a build list linked in the description. It'll be the first link down there. You can check it out and do all of your own research from there. All right, let's get a good up close look at the 92XI single action only tactical version. I got that TLR1HL on there and that Steiner MPS. So you'll have a really good idea of once this thing is outfitted, how it's gonna look. And kind of in my extra large size hands here, how this thing is going to fit overall should you have similar hand size, or kind of give you just a really good idea. But let's go ahead, check that trigger out. So single action only, there's your take up, hard wall, and a very solid brake. Here's your reset, brake, do one more, just feels good. Now there is a little bit of texture on that trigger shoe, and it's kind of a slight curve, but mostly flat feeling trigger. It does brake kind of right at the 90. Overall, it feels very good. So we'll do 3 trigger pulls here, unless I get something weird. First one, 4.54, pretty solid. That's about what it feels like to me. Give it number 2. All right, 3.5 pounds. Any variance you're gonna see is just kind of where the gauge is on here. That tends to happen. Since I'm not a machine, I can't get it perfect. 3.46. Overall, that's about what it feels like. And it's just solid feeling. Overall, a very sweet looking setup, and it flat out just performs. Now, since I know some of you need to see the full spec sheet on this thing, here you go. So has the 92XI SAO Tactical won me over? Because honestly, after leaving the military, I was a little bit sore in the 92 series. Even though I've fired them since, that was just the bulk of my experience with them. And I just kind of didn't really give them a chance after that. But recently I was at SHOT Show and I got a chance to not only fire the Langdon Tactical versions, which are amazing, but then I walked over and I started running just the regular versions. And honestly, I was impressed, and I was just having a really good time running some plate racks and shooting some smaller pieces of steel. And I started to speed up, and I kind of started to like it and realized that maybe I was a fan of the 92. Flubs. Now, since SHOT Show, I got a hold of this one, and I've been able to run a few hundred more rounds through it. And I have to say, I'm impressed. I think I actually kind of love the things for a couple different reasons now. One, the trigger on this thing, it's outstanding. Once you get used to it, it's really good. But also the way that the thing soaks up recoil, it just feels so much different than what I remember it did. And it could be because of the different design. It could be because it's newer and it's not completely worked over like it was in the Army. But overall, I was super impressed with it. Out on the range, I ran all the drills a pistol like this deserves. Those are gonna be transition drills, build drills, reload drills, some moving drills, because those are gonna get me freshened up on the pistol. And it's also gonna give me a really good idea of how this thing's gonna run, how it's gonna feel, if it's gonna be reliable, and overall, am I gonna like the pistol. And I basically ran those drills for those few hundred rounds back to back with no breaks, and just had an absolute blast with this thing. Although I couldn't run it as fast as I normally run things, I'm still kind of battling a wrist and a shoulder injury that's going on. It also kind of messes with my recoil control. But something tells me as I get more and more used to this pistol, that speed is really going to show up. As far as that reliability goes, I had one failure to feed, and I'm 99.999% positive it was me that caused it, but since it happened on camera, I'm gonna put it in the video. Ooh, a little malfunction there. That might have been me. I kind of flubbed that reload, caught my pinky in there, but that was a little failure to feed action. So we'll restart that. Maybe unload a couple rounds from this mag, do that drill again, and see how that goes. Like I said, I'm 90% sure that was me, but we'll figure it out right now, because this is pretty decent ammo. But I caught my pinky on that and then did all kinds of weird stuff. So we'll do that again with the buzzer. Ah, that's safety. Got me. Yep, that's me. As you can probably tell from that video, that was a very bad magazine exchange, followed by catching my pinky on the final insertion and just not running the slide release at the right time. But other than that, she ran 100% through all the ammunition I tried, which was basic ball ammunition, 115, 124, and 124 grain plus P, which is generally what I carry personally. Now, this thing running 100% reliably is really not a surprise to me because it's probably one of the most vetted pistols in history from all the military service. Plus, I know a ton of people that own some form of Beretta 90 series, and all of them say it's been one of the most reliable and durable pistols that they've ever owned. And on top of that reliability, let's just face it, it's the Italian 1911. It's got those Italian Stallion looks, and overall is just a dead sexy pistol. I also did get a chance to run it at 105 yards for a little bit of, distance accuracy, trying to have a little bit of fun, and that's how this went. All right, we got a plate back there at 105, and we are gonna take the new Beretta 92XI SAO, or single action only, and see what we can do down there. I got a few rounds left, so we'll see what happens. See if we can go 100% at 100. There's an impact. Impact. Well, I sped it up a little bit, but for 105 yards, that's pretty crazy. There are some attributes of this one that really stand out to me. The first one is going to be that trigger. Not only the tactile feel on the finger, but overall that single action trigger is just outstanding. Second up is going to be the looks of this thing. And I know that's not important to how it functions out there, but let's just face it, she's a 10, she's a looker, it's the Italian Stallion. And overall, I am just digging the look of this pistol, especially when the light's on there. The thing just looks mean. And last up, this thing was just ultra smooth out of the box and just felt so good when I was running it from the first round all the way through the last one that I ran out there when I was testing it. Now, is there anything I would change or I think could be improved on this version? Because as you guys know, nobody gets a free pass here on the channel. And there are two things that if I had to just pick this thing apart, I would make some small changes. The first one's gonna be a little bit more pinky ledge on the bottom. So as you can see, my double XL size hand, I know I've got Mongo hands, people, but my skin hangs over, and that's what caused me to flub that one reload and catch my pinky skin. So I would love to see a little bit more lip there. The only thing I could really get into this pistol for, maybe a little bit of texturing on the safety and pushing it in a little bit, thinning it out, because when I was doing my research on this pistol, I was watching Honest Outlaw's review, and he had a problem keeping his thumb over that safety because it was grinding into his thumb, kind of right here in this area. Now, I didn't experience that. I can stay over that safety just fine, but everybody's got different sized hands and everybody's gonna put their thumb on it differently. And that was a problem for him. So there's definitely some room to narrow that up, but again, just picking it apart. So those are really about the only two things that I could come up with when it comes to this newer version of the XI in the tactical version. Price-wise on these things, I saw them out there for about 970 bucks, which honestly at this level for an all-metal pistol, that's just what you're gonna pay. There's no use crying about it. There's no use saying it's not worth it if you can't afford it. That just is what it is. Do I think it's worth that? I do. If you want a 92, this thing's gonna run. It feels pretty awesome in the hand. And honestly, it's reformed me when it comes to the 92. I think I kind of love them again, and I think I'm gonna do some things to this. I definitely wanna try some lock grips, maybe a couple of other small things on here, and I am definitely going to get the compact optics ready version because I got to run that one, and it just really fit. Especially for a smaller pistol, a metal one, it felt awesome. And I am super excited to get that one in my hands. Let me know what you think about the new Italian Stallion right here. Make sure you get subscribed to the channel. Keep doing it on the range. Remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. I'll see you all on the next one.